Welcome back. So to finish our series on Normandy cooking, we're going to be making a dessert based on apples because it is one of the quintessential ingredients. And we're going to Calvados this time, which is a department of Normandy. Normandy has got 3 departments, so it's all divided. And as always, Calvados has plenty of things to visit, as you can see on these pictures. And of course, they have the orchard, and it is the birthplace of the Calvados itself. This is the very strong apple brandy that is served as a digestive at the end of the meal to help you digest. And the local specialty basically that we have there, based on Calvados, is an apple tart. And I thought really that I've seen it all with apple tart. But to call this apple tart unique would be kind of an understatement, because away from the fact that this tart has to be made without using a tart pan, a pie dish or any bakeware, it also requires you to take the tart out of the oven halfway through the cooking, set it on fire with Calvados and put it back in. So I don't know if it's me, but it sounds to me as someone had a few too many Calvados when they made that recipe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Anyway, we're making that recipe and it is called the apple tart flambé with Calvados. Let's set the set on fire. And now for the ingredients. So remember at the beginning we talk about the big 5, the ingredients you always find in Normandy cooking, and this is no exception. We've got the apples that we're going to need, so that's 1 of the big 5. We've got some Calvados, that is 2. We've got some butter, that is 3. It is supposed to be served with cream, that is 4 of the big 5. The only thing we're not using is apple cider. So apples, lemon juice, a bit of sugar, butter, Calvados, and you need a shortcrust. This shortcrust here is the one that is given in the recipe. I will put it on the recipe, on the link in the video description. But you can use any shortcrust that you want, ideally handmade, but you can also buy it in a shop. I think it will work as well. All right, so with this in mind, let's begin. Now the first thing we're going to do here is to prepare the apple. So for that you're going to need a bowl, a simple bowl like this, and you're going to take the lemon. Now you can take a large lemon, and we're going to squeeze the juice in there. Once the lemon juice is in the bowl, you can start to work with the apple. They have to be cored and peeled. Now, I typically like to core first and peel after, because if you peel first and you struggle with the coring, they can get a bit brown. So I keep the skin on here, and I've got my core on here. And you know the core, how it goes. It's always that thing that you actually plant or try to plant in the middle part, and then you press down. See how it looks like. Up, I go through the apple, I pull, and I've got the core out. Once this is done, nothing new, you peel your apple, you take a peeler, you go bit by bit, and off we go. As soon as you're done, very quickly, you cut the apple. It says slices on here in the recipe, so I'm just gonna go slices, but some slices are kind of thick. Okay, so it's in effect some kind of smallish kind of quarters like that. And I put this into the bowl with the lemon juice. And once you're done, very important, on your first apples, this is what it looks like here. I'm taking a spoon and I'm stirring this into the lemon juice, okay, to make sure they're well coated, they're not going to get brown. And then I continue with the rest of my apples. What we need to do next is to take the sugar that we have, okay, and you're going to sprinkle everything. And you should have 1 tablespoon left, and that's for later on, for that special flambé. So here you're going to gently coat all the apples with the lemon and the sugar that we've got on here. Be very careful, because otherwise it's going to be a mush of apples. Don't break them too much. So as soon as we're done, we've got the apples with the lemon and sugar. I've got my butter, and we're going to par cook the apple in a frying pan. So there's a typical way for a lot of Normandy tarts. You pre-cook the apples and give them a bit of a head start, and of course they are cooked in butter. Let's go. For the apples, so for the cooking, you can use a non-stick pan or any other pan, a frying pan, but make sure it's large enough. This is one of the large pans that I've got. And I use this because if I shake the apple, it's not going to fall over, because a lot of time with a normal frying pan, they kind of fly off. So I'm using the sauté pan now. And the first thing I'm doing here is melt all of the butter. Perfect, the butter is chanting. So what I'm doing here with the apples, I'm scooping them out. I don't want to have too much of that lemon juice at the bottom to start with. So I'm using like this, something to drain the juice out. I'm adding just the apple because we want to let them to color, otherwise it's going to be boiling too much. So you see the whole idea on here. I've got the apple with the juice. See, I mix them like this, they don't fly off the pan. And we want to reduce that sugar and lemon with the apple juices. until it almost starts to caramelize, and then we're going to get some color. And that's the whole technique behind it. And we're par cooking the apple, so it's going to make sure that when we have the tart, everything is nicely cooked. So it's been about 8 minutes, putting my timer off, and now it's pretty much done. So I'm going to lower my heat, and I'm going to show you what's important when you make this kind of preparation like this, because we're not going to use like a bakeware. You're going to see it's pretty crazy. There's some coloration that starts to happen on the side of the pan. It starts to caramelize, and we're stopping here because now there's no more juice. So you see my apples, if you look in my pan, there's no juice. And you want this because if you have juice everywhere, when you're going to putting that mixture onto your short crust, okay, it's going to affect the short crust. It could create hole, it's going to be wet, you're going to have a kind of a soggy bottom, etc., etc. So here we're getting rid of some of the excess of moisture from the apples, adding some flavor, and we've got something nice and semi-caramelized. Well, it's not even caramelized, it's just coated, it's glazed. Call it like this. So now turn the heat off and we're done. So once the apple are ready, you leave them in the pan. Okay, you can put this on the side of the stove. I'm going to leave them to cool a little bit while we prepare the short crust. Now for the rolling, it's a rustic tart, so a bit of flour on there. I've already started to make a pre-circle of my dough on here. Make sure you take your short crust out of the fridge like 10-15 minutes before to make sure it's malleable. And you can use a pastry brush to remove the excess of flour like this from time to time. But when you have little cracks like this on the side, that means that sometimes it's too cold. So this is what I've done a test here. I'm moving it around and then I go and I'm start to roll it. We don't need a perfect circle, so it does not matter. It's a rustic kind of tart. So you do your best and try to give that thing a round shape. So very quickly, I've got some sort of circle, very rough around the edges, and that's about 30 centimeters, roughly. So that's about 11, 12 inches, something like this. Okay. Now we're going to roll it on the rolling pin and put this on our baking sheet. So typically you start to fold the edge. It doesn't have to be perfect. Reroll that. Up, keep this on the side, take the baking sheet, and off we go. So we've got the baking sheet on here. And instead of having to line a tart pan, I'm going to put this on here. Now a little trick, if like me, you didn't unroll the dough precisely on the baking sheet, don't handle it while it's warm. Leave it like this. You put this into the freezer, which is what I've done. Like this, it firms up, and the whole thing is firm. You see, I can take it off like this and readjust it. So this is really the final trick. We're gonna here preheat our oven at 190 degrees Celsius. I'll put the equivalent Fahrenheit. Make sure the oven is ready. Okay. When the apple are just at room temperature, then we're gonna start to assemble. Okay. So I'm done. So my short crust is nice and firm. My apples are here, they're ready from the pan, nicely glazed. And what's the trick here? Well, basically, we're going to create a casing with the crust itself. We're not going to use any kind of cookware. I'm going to use the crust for the whole thing. So this is the idea. This is where it starts to be a bit crazy. So they say to put the apples as much as we can in the middle to start with, and then leave an edge of 3.5 centimeters all around. Now let's remember, it says that this is rustic, and 3.5 centimeters is about 1.5 inch. So I'm going to try to kind of spread these. So you can see the edges. Seems a bit long, there's more than that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use a knife, and I'm just going to go around my dough here, around here, and try to cut these untidy bits like this, and try to have something that's going to be easier to roll to make sure there's no bits that are going to be kind of cracking or anything like that. So I'm going to have a very rustic job. So I'm going to go all around. Now, have you ever want to work as a sculptor? Because this is really what it feels like. All right, I think we're done. And from here, basically, the whole thing is to try to take these edges, here or anywhere, and fold them back like this on the tart. Also going to go all around and try to make some crazy. This has to be the craziest tart I've ever seen. All right, so there we have it. I'm sure I would be banned from Calvados if they were to see that thing, but this is how it looks like if I turn it. Look, I would say it's rustic and cute. Okay, so now the oven is ready. I'm going to put this in the oven, and we're going to spend a good 15 to 20 minutes for the first part of the cooking before the grand flambé finale. Okay, so while the first phase of the tart is happening in the oven, we need to measure the Calvados, and the Calvados is a pretty serious alcohol. It's 40%, and we need 50 milliliters of it, which is, you know, free, and you can almost 3 to 4 tablespoons. Imagine that. That is a lot of Calvados, and this is what we're going to be using to set that apple tart on fire. But at what point exactly does this become a logical step to, you know, halfway through the cooking, having to set this alight? I'm not too sure. So one good thing, at least, about this technique, is a bit safer, is that instead of putting the Calvados and lighting up the whole tart, it says to first warm up the Calvados. So we've got the Calvados in here, in a small pan. We don't want to boil it. We're only warming it up. So only, you know, we want to wait until it starts to fume. Then we're going to start to lead it up in the pan. And when it's kind of slightly flaming, we're going to pour that mixture all over the tart. All right, I'm focusing on the tart here. This is in the pan. I'm going to try to whoop. Whoa, lit up that Calvados. We can't see the flame that much actually, but it's there. Once we've got this, apparently. Oh no, it's the paper that starts to burn. Look at this shit. Oh no, look at this, this is crazy. And then back into the oven. Well, after this little fire incident, it is now ready. It's been about, what, 35, you can leave it up to 40 minutes. I could have left it 5 minutes a bit more, but I thought the top, you see the apples were getting a little bit, you know, a little bit dark on there, but this is how it looks like. It's pretty good. I'm not too sure, but this is slightly cooked. It's holding pretty well, but now it really needs to rest. So you don't want to start cutting that kind of tart at all when it's hot like this. So we're gonna give it a good rest, and what I'm thinking is that because I've put the Calvados a bit everywhere, and they should have said put the Calvados just over the apple, I might do a little mini flambé just over the apples to finish for a little effect. And I think even if you want to do this at home, it could be a bit of a showstopper for your guests. But now let's wait until it's cool. The tart has cooled down, and what you can do here is take a small pan. I've got the Calvados that is flambeing in here, and gently just a little bit on the apple. That's to claim back what I didn't have in there. No burning this time. All right, I'm redoing my cutting because I keep on putting my hands in front of the camera, which is always annoying me, so you can't see nothing. So I ate already that part, just to say it was quite good, but I'll put another one. So you can cut pretty much everywhere. It's a very soft kind of crust. You can see all the apples and everything is really real quick. You see how soft it is? And you can cut any way you want, really. And then you got this beautiful kind of, it's kind of a pie slash apple tart. I don't know how to define it, so it's a rustic thing. And you can put it on a plate or just eat it like this, but you know what I'm doing? I'm taking the whole thing like this. Delicious. That was delicioso, and here is the tart in all its glory. So remember, this is the flambé apple tart with Calvados, the specialty from that part of Normandy. And I hope that now I've seen it all after having all these burning episodes and you know, the flambé at the end. But I have to say that this addition of Calvados at the end, it really infused the apple and gives you that boozy, appley flavor. And it goes super well. But I think if you had a crème fraîche in there, really from Normandy, that would be super indulgent. But like I said, if you like ice cream, use ice cream. Really, this is the end of our series on the Normandy cooking. I hope you liked it, and just keep in mind, to wrap up the whole thing, that the 5 key ingredients, the big 5, are always there when you do anything Normandy style. But that's it for that series. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you want to see similar stuff, because apparently a lot of people like that. And with a little bit of travel through France, a bit of regional food, and see recipes that perhaps you did not know. Let me know if you like this. As for me, I will leave you with that beautiful picture as always. And I'm saying thank you for watching, and see you next time on the French Cooking Academy. Take care all. Bye bye.
Don't leave me high and dry.